Testing Your Wings. A Sundara story. The figures swooped in and out of the clouds, weaving like a hawk chasing wily prey. Light flashed along its scales, the wind howled as its wings cut through it. It was graceful and fast, though alien-looking in its appearance. The strange creature dove, rocketing toward the city below. The clouds exploded behind it a moment later, and a huge white dragon burst through the cover with a roar that chilled the air. Creatures were staring up into the sky, rushing around in a panic as the two flyers descended. The smaller creature let out a screech of raw pleasure, banking hard and tumbling into a swooping spiral. The dragon, nearly close enough to bite the smaller creature, overshot it before turning in on itself in a way that seemed to defy the physics of flight. The smaller creature circled the huge tower thrice, always keeping the tower's bulk between it and the dragon, before touching down on the ground a moment later, landing hard enough to rattle its bones. The dragon landed just after, claws digging into the stone as it loomed over the smaller figure.
"You improve,"
the dragon rumbled, its voice a mixture of pleasure and playful resentment. The elf stood, unbuckling the clasp of her strange, elongated helmet. She pulled it off, laughing as she shook out her long, sky-blue mane of hair. The ground team was approaching the two of them, though not at any great speed. Now that they were sure she'd landed safely, their worries had dissipated. Mostly.
"You hold back,"
Taimon said, looking up into the scarred face of Frostfang. The dragon's eyes flashed, and he showed her a hint of his massive teeth.
"Perhaps the day will come where I no longer need to, little Sky Rider,"
the dragon said. Taimon couldn't be sure, but she thought she detected a note of longing in the worm's voice. Frostfang glanced toward the crew and heaved a sigh that left ice on the ground.
"They want to take your wings again."
"Maybe they'll be able to make them faster,"
Taimon said, wincing slightly as she unbuckled part of the wing harness. The last bank had wrenched her shoulder, and the adrenaline was beginning to fade.
"Maybe,"
the dragon said, showing her more of his smile as he stretched his own wings.
"Until the next time, then."
Frostfang flexed his hind legs and leaped into the sky. His wings beat the air, showering those beneath with flakes of snow as he once more climbed into the clouds. Taimon watched him rise, then turned toward the North District. Even though she'd seen him fly 100 times or more, the thrill of the sight never faded.
"Stop twitching,"
Snowskin said, slapping Taimon on the thigh without looking up. The kobold's dexterous fingers cinched the buckle in place around the elf's leg, ensuring it was tight. Taimon's eyes raised to the sky. The clouds were angrier today, with lightning occasionally flashing in their hearts.
"Don't stare. The cold wind comes in his own time, and he isn't going to show up any faster because you're watching for him."
Taimon had a retort on her lips, but just as the lightning burst, it revealed a huge shadow moving through the hanging mist. It rose majestically, and the clouds rolled away from it like a curtain. Cobalt blue scales glistened, and a pair of silver eyes regarded Taimon as storm heralds swam through the air towards her. Taimon's breath caught in her throat, and she felt the hair try to rise on her head, only held down by the weight of the single braid as the worm perched itself at the edge of the cliff.
"Lady Storm,"
Snowskin said, turning and offering the blue dragon a deep bow.
"Proceed,"
Storm Herald said, gesturing languidly with one claw. Snowskin turned back to the pre-flight checks, her claws carefully smoothing down scales and tightening the other straps.
"Was Frostfang afraid I'd beat him today?"
Taimon asked. She felt the kobolds stiffen at her side, but Storm Herald only laughed. It sounded like muted thunder rumbling in her chest.
"I hope he's far enough away that he didn't hear that,"
the dragon said, gesturing with her head out at the open air.
"He's waiting for you."
Taimon glanced out at the sky and saw the white dragon. He was bobbing among the clouds, pacing them. She hadn't heard him, but the wind grew chill as it blew across her cheeks. A challenge. She met Frostfang's gaze for just a moment before he dipped into the clouds again.
He wanted an unbiased eye today,
Storm Herald said, her voice an amused purr.
So don't hold back.
Snowskin climbed a small ladder, brushing Taimon's hair out of her face and slipping the helmet down over her head. The kobold strapped it in place, then slapped the side of Taimon's head. She was good to go. Taimon looked up at the blue dragon for a moment, then turned her eyes to the cliff's edge. She sucked in a breath of the chill air and let it fill her chest. Then she ran and leaped into emptiness. She spread her arms and felt the wind lift her up, turning her fall into something infinitely more graceful. Above, she heard the roar of pleasure and felt the wind as Frostfang gave chase. She had a feeling today might be the day after all.